Not everything a child does deserves beating or punishment. I believe that a child who is acting differently from the norm is also seeing things from a different perspective. You just need to understand such child and teach him or her the way instead of excessive beating or punishment that will only make the child despise you. However, if you spare the rod, you will definitely spoil the child. I know modern moms will never accept this phrase. I remember hearing a 3-year-old child telling his mom, "What's wrong with you?" And the mom was just laughing about it. When you laugh off little stuffs, little insults from your child, you enable the child. If you later in life get frustrated at your stubborn child, do not forget that you were the enabler. I remember when I was doing badly in school, I did not fear the whooping like I feared the long talks. Hey, like, you know, that kind of talk that you sleep and wake up hearing your mother nagging and complaining and talking and calling you and scolding you. You just say, "Mommy, why can't you just spank me? Why can't you just why can't you just punish me and forget about this long talks and long talks?" So I fear that. And sometimes they also take away some of the activities that I do, like sitting down to, or some of the things I enjoy doing, like sitting down to watch the television, while they allow my younger ones do that. And of course, they took my allowance. They took my allowance. Needless to say, I came second the next term. So you can see that these children can do better, can do well, even when you don't do excessive beating and excessive punishment. A stubborn child is a combination of ignorance and a call for attention. Give that child a lot of attention by taking interest in his or her interests, and you'll see that the stubbornness will gradually disappear. Some of you parents don't have time to really show interest in what your child wants or what your child needs or what your child is doing. Okay, you need to listen to the child, like pay attention to the child's interest, know why this child is saying no, and know why this child is saying yes. Sorry about the background noise, power has been interrupted. So let's continue. It has been generally proven that spoken words works better than spanking sometimes. Okay, I've heard a mother say, "I'm going to send my child to a military school," and I say, "You are only going to have a child with a tough heart." Even the Bible says in Proverbs 22 verse 15, "Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child." This reflects that a child doesn't know it all. Always remember, your child doesn't know it all. These children need more experience to actually become a better individual. If you take a look at your previous self when you were a child, you will realize that the things you did in the past, the things you did as a child, you now know better as an adult. Even the things you didn't understand, like sometimes when I'm doing homework with my child, I see her struggling to calculate. She's in nursery 3, and I see her struggling to calculate simple maths. And sometimes when I want to scream, shout, I remember that I am understanding this better because I am an adult. So I shouldn't expect her to understand it better right now. But in future, she will understand. So children doesn't know it all, okay? They need time. They need more experience. That is why you are there as a parent to guide them. They need that guidance from you, okay? Kids are adorable. So that explains the pampering. But you still have to put your foot down and make sure that they do the things that you know is right for them to do at every point in time. Yes, they are very cute, but you can still correct them even with their cute faces. Sometimes when they do that, their cute faces, when they've done something wrong, you're frustrated, but looking at that pretty girl, that pretty boy, you don't want to spank, you don't want to scold. You're not really doing the child any good. You need to put your foot down and look at that cute face and tell the child, do not do this again. If it's not a toddler, then you use the rod, okay? Now let me read Proverbs 23 verse 13 to 14. It says, withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatst him with rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shall deliver his soul from hell. We must be willing to do as God instructs. Okay? When we are trying to pamper those children, remember what the Bible says here. Withhold not the correction from this child. God has instructed us to use the rod to correct our children. What's stopping you? The cute faces? Remember, you're doing them good. Talk to your child about the do's and don'ts sternly. Always have a family meeting with them and remind them of the do's and don'ts of the family, irrespective of what their friends do or don't do. Some children will tell you, oh, my friends are doing this, but my friends have a phone in primary school. Yes, your friends have phones in primary school. Doesn't mean that you should have a phone. Our family rule says that you will only have a phone. You'll be entitled to a phone when you are 15 years old or 16 years old or 17 years old. And that is how it is going to be, irrespective of the fact that your friend has a phone. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Trust me, children are good at reading adults. They act differently with different adults depending on how they perceive you. If you will notice that your child acts differently with their father and they act differently with you, you can tell your child, do not do this, as a mother, and the child will just look at you. And your husband will just say, do not do that, and you see the child stop. Why? Because your child have read you. The child knows you too well. Being weak at correcting and punishing children sends a message of you as a buffler, and this makes them begin to slowly see your threats as empty. And honestly, you wouldn't want that, because you tell them, I'll spank you if you do that, and they will definitely go ahead and do that. They will begin to call you a bluff and test your patience. And honestly, at that time, you won't like it. You will become frustrated. Remember, a child is not born stubborn. Neither he or she just suddenly becomes stubborn. Lack of balance, stability, and pure upbringing can cause a child to start acting up and showing stubbornness and rebellion. And I'll actually pick upbringing as a factor. Any child with a very good upbringing will definitely not be stubborn. This has been proven. The way you bring up a child determines that child's attitude, character, behavior in the future. Okay? And this starts from when you're carrying them as a baby. When that child actually bites your nipple when he or she is suckling, and you take your finger and no, you might think that it is just nothing. Okay, it sends a signal to the child that I shouldn't hurt someone else. Okay, it can also continue as when the child is growing and the child takes a TV remote and smash it on the wall, and you take your little pencil or a little pen and you tell the child, no, don't do that, don't throw things, don't spoil things. It sends a signal. Okay, when the child comes back and from school and refuses to do his or her homework, and you say, no, you have to do your homework every day when you're back from school. It starts with little things like telling the child, after eating, you need to take your plates to the kitchen. Make sure that the child carries out that rule. That after eating, you have to clean your table. So upbringing plays a major role in your child's character. And like I said, it doesn't just start when they are grown. No, it starts from when they are babies. All right. Now, when they grow up, in their secondary school, in their university, they won't just eat and leave the plates on the table for you as their mother to come clear the table. They won't just come back from school, they won't do their homework, and you start hearing reports from school that your child is always coming back. It didn't just start right now. It didn't start today. It started from when you refuse to correct the child, to guide the child on the path you want the child to follow. So whatever you want to see in that child tomorrow, begin to do it today. And I'm very, very certain that you will definitely see the result. Remember what the Bible says. Foolishness abounds in the heart of a child. So when they are children, they act foolishly, and you guide them. You take away that foolishness with the rod. And when they grow up, you will see them become beautiful, amazing individuals. It is difficult to see a child who is loved, who is supported, who has self-confidence, who is encouraged, appreciated, display stubbornness. It is very, very difficult. So overall, I will say, just be a loving parent. Just be a loving parent. Don't use bad, demeaning words on your children, on your kids. Encourage your children. Praise your children. Appreciate your children. Boost their self-confidence. Like sometimes I tell my daughter, you're beautiful. That was when she was 1 year. I'll tell her, you're so beautiful. Then I'll teach her to say thank you. But I realized that later on, when I tell her you're beautiful, she'll say, I know. I know. That's always our response presently. I know. That is because I have built her self-confidence and she knows that she's beautiful. So wherever she goes, someone telling her you're beautiful is not a new thing. She has heard it over and over again from her parents. And this makes them feel they really matter. It makes them feel good, make them feel right about themselves. And of course, how can I forget? How can I forget? Pray for your child. Pray with them. And I believe that with all these you've listened to, if you implement them, you will have do we have a perfect child? No, but you have almost perfect child. I wish you all the best and thank you for always watching.